So welcome. Conspiracy theories? Bill Gates? Hey, I'm Tony V from Changing Perspectives. This is episode 2, part of the 10-10 movement. And in this video, I am going to take apart conspiracy theories in general, but specifically talk around Bill Gates. And of course, if we are seeing conspiracy theories as being real, many people will be diving all over me there going, well, of course they're real, of course they're real. My point is, for every theory, there has to be a conspirator. And in this case, Bill Gates obviously comes up. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through 2 stories which will hopefully help us change our perspective on this so that we can see what we can do as individuals and collectively that will make planet Earth move towards living more of a 10 out of 10 experience. Now, if you're new to the 10-10 movement on YouTube here, please hit the subscription button and also hit the little bell there to make sure that you're notified as soon as any new videos go up on the 10-10 movement page. So that's it. I'm going to see you on the inside. Conspiracy theories, Bill Gates, it's all in there. See you at the end. Bye for now. So a big welcome back to Changing Perspectives. Now, you're here with myself, Tony V, and all of this is part of the 10-10 movement. Now, you might just ask me before we get going with Changing Perspectives, what is the 10-10 movement? It's basically a group of people interested in moving their lives from wherever they are towards living like a 10 out of 10 experience of life. And I can tell you the average is somewhere around the 6 out of 10. And that means there's a big gap in some people's lives. When I first did this some 20 years ago, I was a 5.5 at best and went all out to find out what it would take to move massively towards living a much better experience in myself. Now, Changing Perspectives last week, if you didn't see it, was all about David Icke and conspiracy theories. Now, got a lot of feedback, a lot of people want to know more. They want to know about different people. Bill Gates is the next person that people wanted to ask me questions about. What is it? What's he doing? How's he doing it? Why is he doing it? And all of that. How does this all work? Well, if you are a conspiracy theorist and you like a bit of conspiracy theories, then, strap yourself in because I'm going to share stuff about conspiracy theories which you might find a little bit shocking. And almost definitely, if you massively believe in conspiracy theories, then I'm going to rock your beliefs just a little bit, and I'm going to teach you how to overcome the conspirators. Because remember, if conspiracy theories are a reality, and many people will go, don't even try to tell me that there is no such thing as people trying to control the planet, have a one world order and all of that. Well, I'm not going to. What I am going to do is I'm going to outline a way of looking at this, which really sort of comes from a different angle, where suddenly we could, as a group of people, start to overcome this without some of the challenges that we've had. So, for example, yesterday I saw Jeremy Corbyn's brother, I think it was, getting dragged off the street and arrested in London for his conspiracy theories about the COVID-19 thing. Now, so that's where I don't come from. So first off, if you want to be a real giver to overcoming some of the things that we believe may be going against humanity in general, we'd like to stop that, then what I can tell you is that being an anti in the fullest sense is probably not going to work. It's never really worked. I mean, obviously some things have changed over our lifetime because people protested and stuff like that. But it's not the easiest way to overcome what we believe, or people believe en masse, are some very powerful people who are sort of in many ways trying to gain power and control all the rest of the humans. So, Bill Gates, how does that all work? Where are we all coming from? So look, I think before I start, firstly, I don't know Bill Gates, just like I don't know really David Icke. Now, I followed David Icke quite a lot, as I shared in last week's video. Bill Gates, never met him, don't know him, obviously know of him. But we have to remember to be careful when
we go into what I call judgment. And that judgment, where did we get that from? If our sources of where we get that judgment from are a bit suspect, i.e. we get it from the news media. Now, is the news media a good place for us to get a set of beliefs inside of us that we then take action on? Because look, could it be true that the news media are also operating in a way that could be deemed to be not exactly kosher? And I mean that in the kindest way possible to them, because look, they have to take snapshots of what's going on and then paint a picture of it very quickly. So, like, yeah, if you're talking about something that's going on for days, they've got little snippets where they pick bits that they share. Now, do they pick the bits that twist it in some way? I think it's I can't think of the word now, but anyway, they're like putting an edge on it. Now, if you've got a specific audience, i.e., like a newspaper's got a specific audience that wants it twisted that way, then it's easy to twist it any way you want, yeah? And so, some people twist it this way, some people twist it that way. But the truth is, what we want is the hardcore facts. And if we're going to be talking about a person, I always say to people, do you know that person? Have you ever met that person? Because the truth is, if you've never met them and you don't actually know them, your opinion has come from somewhere, most likely the news media, because where else is it going to come from? So I just question our source of information before we start. But that all aside, because that all aside is sort of playing in what I call the game. We're all stuck in the game. So how I've come to look at this is a very different way. And if you really want to make a big difference to humanity and how it unfolds going forward, then I think what we need is to change our perspective slightly away from the more traditional conspiracy theory strategy, which could mean that you're being very anti. And just think of the word anti. So what the word anti does is it puts us fairly and squarely into duality. In other words, we're saying this is happening to me or to us, and we need to stop that. So what we've got is we've got a them and an us. We've got they're the baddies, we're the goodies, they're taking advantage of us, we need to stop that. The challenge, let me share the biggest challenge with that. The biggest challenge is that in that positionality, we become the victims of them. I often say to people, who is this them? Well, obviously, if you're going to take an individual like, Bill Gates, then, we're clear, we at least know what he looks like, even if we don't know him very well, yeah? So it's what's he trying to do to us, yeah? Now, that means that we are in the victim position. And I just want you to know that when you take that positionality, you lose a lot of power. You lose masses of your energy, your power. And what we tend to do is we tend to become very reactive in that position. Now, he won't be being reactive because he's very strategic. You just think about his history. You're looking at a very clever, strategic person. If you're just reactive to him, you sort of, if he is a baddie, I don't really go with the goodie and the baddie. If you were to be a baddie, then that doesn't make you an automatic goodie. It just means that you don't like what you feel he's doing to you and you want to stop him. Okay? So, here's a retake on how it all works. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. That hopefully will help switch this so that we take away the goodie and the baddie and we start to see what we could do as a collective to move towards having a better experience for the greater part of humanity. Because obviously we've got the 1% argument where 1% have all got all the money and the power and they're controlling the other 99%. So how do we, I mean, that is a balance. It is a balance. It's a very weird balance, but there's always like a balance, yeah? So how do we put that more, so it's more sort of like less, it's more than 1%. We've got some sort of balance going on where, we don't feel like we're losers, we don't feel like we're victims. Yeah? So, first of all, we need to change or look at our perspective. But we need to understand how we got into that position in the the first place. So I'm going to tell you a story, which actually I learned from, I learned it from a book. Now, I'm not a great lover of reading a book and then learning something or just intellectualizing something from it. But what I have learned is that what happened, how it worked, if this is in any way true, you can practice something which will increase your power. So that's why I'm a massive fan. If you're going to read something, rather than just read it and then take on a belief, then it's much better to read it, then take some action, see what your personal experience is, and then from that you can sort of share your wisdom, because you can share your personal experience. Now, it's not always going to be the same personal experience for everyone, but here we go. I'm going to tell you the story very quickly. It's going to be the Tony B version of what was in the book. And I just want you to think about this. Just think about how we could have got ourselves as the human race into this position. So this story starts way back when the slave trade was thick in full action in Egyptian times. So the slaves were basically, forced to break rocks and use these rocks were used to build things. So we don't need to worry what they were building on, whatever. They were just forced. And basically they were flogged, and if they died, they just chucked them on the side and then got some new slaves. And how they made sure that the slaves broke the rocks and carried on working was twofold. A lot of people think it was just one fold. In other words, they've got the army there and they're the ones doing the flogging, forcing them to work. But of course, most things work in a sort of pyramidical way. Well, they have done for a very long time. That's still happening. If you think of the 1%, they're at the top of the pyramid, and at the bottom of the pyramid is sort of everybody else. As you work your way down, the rest of humanity are here, and the 1% sit at the top. And if you look at businesses, how things work, we are still got going on a very pyramidical system. So basically what happened is the people that controlled, like the soldiers, you'd think might be like, if it was Egyptian times, you might go, well, it's the pharaohs, yeah? They were the people in charge. But actually, who did the pharaohs look to? Well, like in so many places, we took Henry VIII. Henry VIII, he looked up to the Pope for a while, and then of course he fell out with the Pope. Because he felt that what they're trying to do is they want to be close to God. So the Pope was a way of being, through the order of the religion, church, to get to what I call the higher energy fields. So Henry VIII used the church to do that. Now, in the Pharaoh's time, they didn't do unsimilar. They had what they described as priests. These were people that wear robes, a little bit like monks. We could call them monks, we could call them priests, whatever. Yeah, they weren't Christian because we're talking before Christian time. But these people basically sat around. Let's just say the slaves, at the point of the story, were breaking their rocks down here. The slaves would sit up on the mountainside in a circle, and then they'd look down on the slaves. And the army are obviously with them. Anyway, one day, one of the priests. Now, what were the priests doing? Why were they sitting up high? Well, the argument goes that they were what we would describe as taking the higher ground. Now, in any war situation, we all pretty much know that the high ground is where the power. You're in a better chance of winning if you take the high ground, the person, because you're looking down on the low person, aren't you? And it's easier for you to see what's going on. Yeah. Got a good perspective. When you're looking up, it's a bit more dangerous. Yeah. So when they look down, metaphorically, they are taking the higher energy field. And indeed, it's argued that they were meditating. Before you go, hold on a minute, don't do any of that meditating stuff. Why would they be meditating, and what doing when they're doing that sort of stuff? Now, effectively, what it was argued is to take the higher ground means that you are closer to God, you're closer to, the higher power, whatever you want to call it. Yeah? So that's what they were doing, and they were deliberately sitting up high. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to keep what we could today call the airwaves clear. So if there's a lot of people, like the slaves, then the slaves needed to be kept in lower energy so that they are in the lower energy field and they've got no chance of reaching the higher energy field. So let's take the modern Wi-Fi system. Yeah, if you've got loads of people on one system, then the energy goes down and it's been distributed to too many people, and so people get a bad signal. If you said to yourself, right, we'll get 2 Wi-Fis in my house because we've got like 20 kids, yeah. So we'll get all the kids on that one, and I'll have this one to myself. I won't tell them the passcode for this one. Then you are going to get a great signal. They are going to get a much worse signal. So just think of it like that. Is this, or could this be what the priests were doing? Is they're going, right, we want this higher energy field so that we can communicate with God, because that's going to give us all the power. And we need to suppress the energy of everybody else. And if we keep them as slaves and they're focused on, survival, they're focused on breaking the rocks, we've then got the army doing that. So everybody is under our control. Okay? So one day, one of the monks is looking down at the slaves and he sees one of the slaves operating slightly different. He's got a little bit more energy. Most of the slaves are looking, knackered. But this one slave is like looking a little bit different. And this priest sort of thought to himself, he's got thinking now, the slaves already have it. He's thought to himself, that slave is thinking, and I need to find out what he's thinking about. So he sort of, decloaked himself, went down and pretended to be a slave to befriend this slave to find out what he was doing. So he befriended him and he found out that this slave is organising everybody to escape. So the monk goes, right, he's worked it all out. He's watched their cycles. And when enough slaves will die, then the army take loads of the soldiers, go off and get another load of slaves. And at that time, the slaves massively outnumber the soldiers that are left to guard them. So he knows that this is a good time to bid for an escape move. So the priest thinks, okay, so I now know what he's thinking. Let me go back up the mountain and have a cogitate about that. Yeah? So he sort of meditates, because look, what he's trying to do is get his intuitive part to work. Yeah? This is the part of you, sort of pointing to him, because it's argued quite scientifically today that your intuitive part of you actually lives in your heart, and your inner world needs to be in a certain synchronization, should we call it, but definitely a certain energy, a certain vibration is a good word to put to it. If your body is in sync, in other words, particularly your heart and your brain are in sync, then your intuition fires off. So the priests know this, the slaves don't. So the slaves are flogging themselves to death, of course, they're being flogged to death. And the priests are all sitting there, setting themselves up to talk to their higher power, so their intuition flies off. So rather than just, go, well, let's do the logical thing, which is, we'll send less soldiers or whatever. He went in to use his intuition to find out what he could do to stop this guy, being successful and the slaves all escaping. Anyway, his intuition gave him a message. Yeah, so I don't know how in connection you are with your intuition, but I can assure you, if your life score is around the 5 or the 6, you ain't really going to be in control of your intuitive self. You're going to be a very reactive mode. And that's why I encourage you to do the life test to find out where you hang out, because once you know where you hang out, you can start to move your vibration. You can learn about some of these things, how you can take control of you. That's why the person like you saw Corbyn's brother being reactive. Yeah? So this part of us is just the logical part of us. It's like the angry part of us. That part is the low energy part. Yeah? And when you fight from that part of you, you can't beat these people. You cannot beat them from that position. The one thing that can beat them absolutely easily is if all the people raise their energy. Okay, that's the crazy thing about this. The crazy thing is that if we on the maths, the 99% want to get a more even playing field for humanity. The first thing we need to do is stop being reactive, and we need to learn what these other people are doing that's getting them everything that they, all the power and the money and all of that sort of thing. So, back to the priest. He had this intuitive thought, and he decided to do something radical, absolutely radical. So he's gathered all the slaves together, and he said to the slaves, I am going to set you free. Well, how radical is that? Because look, think about it. The logic would go, right, we need to contain them more, maybe put up fences, don't let so many of the army go, whip them more. You would come up, if I said to you, come up with some ideas as to how we could stop those slaves, escaping. You're not going to think about setting them free, are you? So this is what I love about this story. The priest, because he used this part of him, this untapped part that all humans have got, he thought of something unbelievable. So let me share what he came up with. So out of his pocket, this is the Tony V version, please. But anyway, out of his pocket, he got this disc, this metal disc, okay? And he said to the slaves, I am going to set you all free, and everything's going to change, okay? Now, what's going to happen is there's going to be no more flogging, because look, if he doesn't kill him, he doesn't have to go and get any more. That's pretty smart, yeah? If he treated him better. Anyway, so he said, look, for every rock you break, I am going to give you, or you're going to get, one disc. So, what can you do with these discs? Well, these discs are amazing, because what we're going to do is you're going to be able to swap these discs for things, for stuff. Firstly, you can swap them for food. So you can have more food, because basically they starved them, of course. So he said, look, you can get whatever food you want. You get whatever food you want with these discs. Now, the more rocks you break, the more discs you get. So, you can then do whatever you like. You're free to have free will. If you want to go away, never come back, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to stay and break rocks, we're going to give you a disc for every rock, and you're going to be able to utilise that disc how you like. Right, and he gave them a bit of a list of what they could do with the discs. So, what do you think the slaves did? Did the slaves all run away and go, fantastic, we're all free now? Or did they stay and break rocks? And the answer is they stayed and broke more rocks, yeah, and swapped them for these discs. Now, do you think when they realised that these discs had value, that they broke less rocks? Now, remember, they're not getting whipped anymore. They're doing this of their own free will. They're breaking the rocks of their own free will. So do you reckon they broke more rocks, or do you think they broke less rocks? Well, firstly, they didn't run away, and secondly, they broke more rocks. So what the guy has done, the priest has done, using his intuitive self, came up with a completely new perception of how to have what he wanted, which was to keep the airways free and distract these people, not by whipping them anymore, but by just distracting them to these little pieces of metal. Now, these little pieces of metal, of course, became known as coins. So the slaves, instead of being slaves to breaking the rocks and being whipped, became slaves to the coin. Now, I ask you, your life, right now, are you in any way a slave to the coin? Are you? As I look out and I think of, like, we've gone through thousands of years of evolution, yeah? We've now got modern capitalism, we've got democracy, we've still got various different other systems going on as well, with a couple of dictators, and we've got obviously communism still going on in a couple of countries. These political and organisational systems, capitalism in the Western world, capitalism and so-called democracy, that's what we experience. If you're watching this in the Western world, that's how it works. But you just have to ask yourself, are people slaves to the coin? Are we slaves to money? Well, does money distract us? You see, if we've got loads of money, we're fine. So if we've got, we're in that higher echelons of people with lots of money, that's great. But roughly, let's just take Britain, 20% in this pyramid, about 20% of people don't have enough money. About 20%. And that includes obviously families, children, all that sort of stuff. Now, how, or what needs to happen, how can we change our perspective so that wasn't true, or we started to think different thoughts and create maybe new systems. That for me is where the 10-10 movement is going. And what we need to do is we need to think differently. We need to change our perspective. So if that were to be true, just check in with yourself and go, yeah, what's true? Like if I don't have enough money, if my money goes down, what happens to my energy? Does it go up, stay the same, or does it go down? Well, I can pretty much assure you that if you get a money challenge in your life, your energy tends to go down because you become threatened. So much of our thinking is going towards the coin and how many coins we've got, what we're going to spend them on, and all the time we're doing that, we're not connecting. So the higher airways stay clear. So could that still be true today? When we talk about this conspirators, these people that are trying to get power in the world, could it be true that they are just doing it to get the higher ground? They don't need the money, do they, if you think about it? Do they really need the power? Because they've got the power, they've got the money. So what else do they want? What else do they want? They don't want to live in a big house. They've got all that too. What they want is they want to keep those airways clear. Now, if that was true, how would we handle that differently? So by being an anti, what we're doing is we take the energy down. This, potentially, if we're thinking of a them and an us, this is playing the game that they would want because they're distracting us. If that were the case, I'm not a lover of that language. I prefer to change my perception. Let's think like the monk, the priest. How can we change our perception here where we could change the path of humanity, which has been on this path for a very long time? Look, the one world order has been around for a very, very long time. A very, very, very long time. So it's not like a new thought. But actually, how about there was a new world order based on a completely different model, different system? All it would take is enough people to want to be involved in that would tip the balance to a different style of world. I call this that we need some new world thinking. So look, we might go, this is what we don't want. We don't want to be ruled and run by these 1%. But what do we want then? Yeah, so let's move towards what we do want. And what's going to need to happen for that to be able to become a reality? Maybe not in our lifetime, because look, a lot of these things happen over time. We're talking, lots and lots of generations sometimes. But look, maybe we could be the forefounders, because for me, the anti-brigade is not the way to do it, because taking the energy down is not the answer, you see. The answer would be to take the energy up. Now, that we would need to do as an individual. That would need to do, right, what could I do to get my energy higher so that all of us were at higher energy? How would we operate differently if that was the case? Well, I can assure you that what happens is your intuition fires off and you become a whole different human being. Everything looks different. Everything looks different from this changed perspective where your energy is higher. If your energy is low, you're going to experience what's in that field of energy. As you raise your energy, then different things are available in that energy field. I used to just tell this quick story. I used to live in South London, so I used to listen to Capital Radio. And Capital Radio, frequency, the broadcasting frequency used to be 95.8 FM. So in the days before damn radio, you'd have to dial up your tuner and the numbers hit 95.8 FM. Suddenly, out of your speakers blurted Capital Radio. So I used to listen to this every day. When it first started, I remember the first song was Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel, if you're that old, and you can remember that. You can remember Chris Tarrant. He used to be on in the mornings, that sort of thing. Now, a lot of people listen to that frequency. So a lot of people at that moment in time were tuning in to this frequency. Now, when I first came across this, and I realised that my own personal frequency was hanging out at like a 5 to a 6, I thought, well, what's in my gap? What's in this gap? What would it take for me to find out what living at a 10 out of 10 looks like? Now, I've been told that if you get loads of money, big house, big car, and loads of things, you'll be happy. But that is not how it works. I promise you that's not how it works. Obviously, having money and things helps because it will give you a different external experience. But you see, all of the avatars that have ever walked the planet, from Krishna to Buddha to Jesus and whoever else you can think of, Muhammad, they all told us we need to go within. Happiness comes from within. It doesn't come from the outside in. I'm not saying it doesn't help a little bit, but it's not where the true happiness lives. True happiness is something you create from inside out. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. And I had to learn that. I needed to turn my energy up, my frequency, my vibration. Some of that is, maybe it sounds a bit crazy. But if you learn how to do this, so I decided I would dive in and find out what happens if you do this. So I wanted to experiment on myself to see if turning your energy up at all was possible. And the answer is, well, my experience is, it definitely is. You just need to know some hows. And that's what the 10-10 life test is all about. Go and do the 10-10 life test, and then I'll give you a load of videos. They're complimentary. This has nothing to do with money at all. There is no money involved in the 10-10 movement. It basically is about helping people find out where their gap is and what would fill that gap so their energy would go higher, their frequency, their vibration would go higher. So I found out on the dial on the radio that actually if you tune it to 106.2, 105.4, I'm in London, this is a long time ago, 105.4, suddenly out of the speakers came Magic FM, completely different energy, completely. They play different records, they've got different people on, different people are listening to it. So think about it, if Capital Radio is here and that frequency you hang out in, the only way you could listen to Capital Radio at the time was to tune into that frequency. And when I found 105.4, different frequency, different people, different energy. And eventually I was I found 106.2. And this, it's a bit cheesy this, but it's a good point, is where Heart FM hangs out. Again, different people, different energy, different frequency. So imagine your life. Imagine we've got this dial and we could turn our energy up, our frequency up. What would happen? Now, if we want to stop the conspirators, going in and fighting them with low energy is futile. I promise you it's futile. What they don't want, the very thing, these people exist, these darker people, what they would absolutely not want at all is all of us to start turning our energy up, because now the higher frequencies are getting a bit more saturated. So just to give you some numbers, living at the lowest frequency is about 85% of all humans, and that's where the angry brigade will come from. So you have to be careful not to hang out there. Because look, you can do so much with that energy, but actually you don't normally get very far because you're going to get resistance.
It's 17 hours.
You're going to get massive resistance. So other people will try and stop you and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas if you turn your energy up, there's about 10% of people living in this sort of middle energy. These people want change. They've got a different way of operating. So there's those. And then living in the top energy is about, let's say, 5%. Roughly, 85, 10, roughly. So if we can find enough people and increase that 5% from the 85, get more people into the 10, then we're looking at a different balance. This would change the world completely. I promise you, it would change radically. And a switch of around 5% is all it will take. It's not going to take all of us. It's going to take a chunk of people that really want to test this out, try it out. So let's look at the Bill Gates thing. Let's look at that and look at it from a different perspective. Again, let's change our perception. And imagine now that there's this big, huge field, gigantic field. And in this field, as we observe the field, so we're taking the position of the observer, which I shared last week in the David Icke video. If we take the position of the observer and we observe this big field that's effectively cut in half, and there's a fence down the middle, and in the fence is this giant gateway. Now, in this half of the field, we've got, I call this the red field. This is where roughly 95% of the people live. And in the other half, on the other side of the gate, is where the 5%. Okay? So these people, your people that we would consider potentially to be the conspirators, they would hang out here. Yeah? Whereas, the rest of the people would potentially hang out in this field here, which is very crowded. You have to think about it. A lot of space here, not a lot of space here. Now, the further away you are from the gate, then the lower your sort of energy. So when you're so far away from the gate, you can't even see the gate. I mean, look, it's going to be crowded in here. You can see that you're not going to be able to see it. It's way, way, way over there. So the 10% of people are the people that are nearest the gate. These people are very interesting because they're interested in finding out what needs to happen. Now, if you're the angrier people, they're more down here. They're further away from the gate. They're not even looking at the gate. The gate's behind them. They don't even know there is a gate. Nobody's mentioned that because the talk down in this part of the field is very low energy. Yeah? So this is where wars happen, fights happen, all sorts of, everything that you can imagine. Yeah, that's not good lives in this bit down here. Now, these two fields have also got different rules to them. Yeah? So the field here lives in what I call, it's widely known as duality. So in this field, you hang out here. You're going to see things as good or bad, right or wrong. This is a baddie, this is a goodie, this is right, this shouldn't happen, this is wrong. This is, that's sort of the way the mind works. So people that live in what I call it in their head. So I always call this the red field. And I always say, look, if you're in your head, you're in the red. You're thinking. We're not connected. Over here in the green field, as I call it, where there's very few people, lots of energy. This is a very light place. This is where the light lives. Yeah? So if you go for duality, this is the light, that's the dark. Yeah? So if we move towards the light and away from the dark, we're going to have a whole different experience as a group of people. So let's come back to Bill Gates, because I haven't even hardly mentioned him except at the beginning. So what a lot of people are thinking, but they're mostly thinking, remember, they're thinking that he's a baddie and this whole vaccination thing is all for him to gain more money and power. Trust me, he doesn't need it. He's already got it. Now, one of the things, I'm not trying to make anybody right or wrong here. Let's just say we're observing here. We're trying to reframe this. We're trying to get a different perspective on it. Now, if you're over here in that low energy field, you're going to think in a certain way. And that thinking is not going to help. I promise you, it's not going to help. It's going to take you further away from the goal, which is actually over here. So it's like we're going in the wrong direction. So I'm going, come on, let's get over here and have a look at the gate. Come over here and have a look at the gate. If you learn how to turn your energy up, then everything could change. Everything. I think what will happen is the fence will move and the gate will move. And there'll be more people over here. But we have to go there ourselves. Now, one of the challenges is that there's so many people, 95% living in the red field. Okay, 10% are living near the gate going, there's a gate over there. What's on the other side of that gate? And they're trying to find out about the gate. They're interested in the gate. But they're still operating from their head, but not in such a reactive way. So I was saying last week, the people that are near the gate, their thinkers using this part of their brain. The further you are away from the gate, the more you're using the back part, your reptilian, your reactive part of your brain. That part there, that's never going to get you a great result. It just gets you more arguments, more fights, more disconnection, more lower energy. Nothing good's going to come from that. It's like when two countries fall out and we have a war. Look at Syria right now. Is any good coming out of that? All you've got is low energy, one side making the other side wrong. The other side doesn't want to be wrong. They're saying you're wrong. Boom, now we've got a war. Millions of people, I don't even remember the numbers now, millions of people displaced. You don't even want to be in a fight. People killing each other every day as though it's a normal thing. And what for? All because they think that one thing, they think the other, and they're using this part of their brain, and then they become reactive and then they start killing each other. That's not smart. That's just not smart at all. But of course, from the priest's viewpoint, that is all distraction. The more of that that goes on, the better for the priest. Because while we're all fighting each other, or fighting them, or doing whatever we're doing, playing computer games that are fights, beat 'em up, watching the television, reading the newspapers, all of that will keep your energy low. So what we need to do is individually take responsibility for our energy. Because collectively, yes, if collectively we've raised our energy, that would make a massive difference. Of course it would. But collectively, it's more difficult to do because you have to do it individually. You have to go, I always say, where you've never been before. It's a bit Star Trek-like. What needs to happen to turn your dial up, from 95.8 to, you've got to find it. You've got to discover it. It's inside of you, but you have to discover it. So really, the Bill Gates thing for me is these people thinking that what he's doing is a negative, bad thing. Because from their viewpoint, it is. Now, I'm not saying it is or it isn't. It doesn't matter. The only way to get a better planet, a better place for humans to hang out, and better for planet Earth, is for all of the humans in the red field to start to turn around, look towards the gate, go, what do I need to do to raise my energy? Let me put my focus in a different place.
So hey, trust you enjoyed the video there, and maybe, just maybe, we've looked at conspiracy theories from a slightly different angle, and hopefully you're going to feel, potentially I feel a little bit more empowered as an individual as to the way I can look and feel about this and what I could do to help planet Earth, as I always say, move towards living more out of a 10 out of 10 experience. So look, if you're new to YouTube and you've enjoyed this Changing Perspectives episode 2, please hit the subscription button now and the little notification bell, and that way you're never going to miss a thing. You're going to get notified every time, which we do twice a week in fact, put new videos up onto the 1010 Movement YouTube channel. So see you in the next video. Bye for now.